Hello students, welcome to the channel. We are learning active and passive voice. This is the fifth part of the video. In the first part, we have studied how to identify the subject and the verb correctly. In the second part, we learned the identification of active and passive voice. In the third part, we saw how to convert active to passive and passive to active. In the fourth part, we learned some special cases and special rules. In those special cases, we have already seen these four topics. In this video, we will see imperative sentences. In the next video, we will see using infinitives in passive. So let us begin. Imperative sentences can either be orders or requests. Let us see some examples for both of these. Hold the door open is an order. The room must be cleaned is also an order. Please close the windows is a request. You are requested to sit down is a request too. But before we learn how to convert imperative sentences into active and passive, let us first learn how to identify if they are already active or passive. This is the formula which we have already seen. The formula for active is SVO and that of passive is OV3 by S. Let us look at this example first. Hold the door open. In this example, hold is the verb. The doer of the verb should be the subject. That means who is holding will be the subject. But looking at the sentence, we can see that there is no subject mentioned here. So there is no subject. Door is the verb. Door is the object. Now let us look at this example. Please close the windows. Here, close is the verb. The doer of the verb should be the subject. That means who is closing the door should be the subject, but it is not mentioned in the sentence. Windows is the object. Now look at the format VO in both these sentences and look at the formula for active voice. We have SVO, but because the subject is not mentioned in both of these sentences, let us put a cross over here at the subject. Now the format exactly matches with that of active voice. So these sentences are active voice. Now let us move on towards this example. The room must be cleaned. Here cleaned is the V3 form of the verb and the doer of the verb should be the subject, but who is cleaning the room is not mentioned in this sentence, so there is no subject. Room is the object. Now let us look at this sentence. You are requested to sit down. Here requested is the V3 form of the verb, but who is requesting is not mentioned in the sentence. You is the object. Now look at the format here. In both the sentences, the format is OV3, but the format for passive is OV3 by S. But because there is no subject in this sentence or in this sentence, currently let us put a cross over subject and over by. Now the format of these two sentences match exactly as that of passive voice. So this is passive voice. Both these examples are passive voice. Now there's a misconception that a sentence should always have a subject, which is wrong. Like we can see in these four examples, there is no subject. The truth is, it is not necessary for a sentence to have a subject. Let us move ahead. Let us learn how to convert active imperative sentences into passive imperative sentences. Let us look at an example of order first. We will learn to convert this step by step. The first step is to find the verb. So in this sentence, hold is the verb. The second step is to add to before the verb. So let us add to. So here hold becomes to hold. The third step is to introduce modals like should, must, etc. if applicable, or we have another option to introduce phrases like you are requested, commanded, etc. or we can add let plus V3 if applicable. Now the easiest thing to do is use this. Introduce phrases like you are ordered, commanded, etc. So let us introduce the phrase you are ordered here at the beginning of the sentence. Now the remainder of the sentence, the door open, we will write it as it is. So this is the passive voice, but pay attention here. to hold. Now here the verb is still in its V1 form. The other two forms of hold are hold, held, held. Now if hold here is in V1 form, how can this be a passive voice? Because look here, the formula of passive voice, we always have a V3. So we do have a V3 in this sentence, which is ordered, which we have introduced. So now this is a complete passive sentence. There are other two possible answers as well, like let the door be held open. If we use this option here, let plus V3, we have one more possible answer. The door should be held open if we use this option to use modal verbs like should. But as I said, the easiest option is to use the phrases like you are ordered. Now let us move on towards requests. Let us look at this example. Please close the windows. Let us convert it into passive step by step. The first step is to find the verb. So in this sentence, close is the verb. The second step is to add to before the verb. So let us add to. So it becomes to close. The third step is to introduce phrases like you are requested, advised, etc. So let us introduce the phrase you are requested in the beginning of the sentence. Step 4 is to remove words like please. So let us remove the words like please. The remainder of the sentence we will write as is already written. Now the sentence is in passive voice, but pay attention here too. We have written to close. Close is again V1 form. The other two forms are close, closed and closed. But for passive voice, we always need V3. We already have a V3 which we have introduced here, which is requested. Now the question is, why have we written closed here and why have we written hold here? Why not to write to held? Why not to write to closed? The reason is, with to, we always write the first form of the verb. Always remember. Let us move forward and learn how to convert passive imperative sentences into active imperative sentences step by step. Again with the help of an example. So the example here is, the fan should be switched on. We will do this step by step again. The first step is to remove modals like should, must, etc. So here in this sentence we can see that there is a modal verb should. We will cross this out as we are supposed to remove it. Or we have to remove the phrases like you are ordered, commanded, etc. But in this sentence we don't have such phrases. So we will skip this option. Step 2 is to remove to before the verb. But here we don't have a to. So we are skipping this step as well. The third step is to arrange it in SVO format or VO format if there is no subject. So this sentence becomes switch on the fan. Here switch is the verb V and the fan is the O object. So this is the passive voice. Now let us move on towards request. We will see this with the help of an example. The example is, you are requested to drive safely. Now the first step is to introduce words like please. So we will write the word please. The second step is to remove the phrases like you are requested, advised, etc. So let us cross out you are requested. The third step is to remove to before the verb. So let us cross out to as well. The fourth step is to arrange it in SVO or VO format if there is no subject. So we just have two words left, drive safely. Drive is the verb, so we will write here as it is. So please drive safely is the active sentence. Remember to learn these steps, and the steps to convert passive to active is just the opposite of that of active to passive. This is all for today. See you in the next part.